I want to share a fascinating thought that I saw from Soloveitchik. It's actually not indirectly his. I saw from David Holzer. By David Holzer that explains the idea. But first, a question. The question is in this week's upcoming Parsha, in Lecha. So there's something that continually, or we'll say it's a common thread that we have throughout this Parsha and other Parshios, and that is when it comes to describing the land of Eretz Yisrael, the land that Hashem is going to give to Abraham as his inheritance, how does he refer to it? And we see similarly by Moshe Rabbeinu, it says, El ha'aretz asher areka. Hashem says to Abram, I want you to go from your land, your father's place, and the like, El ha'aretz asher areka, to the land that I'm going to show you. We also see it by Akedas Yitzchak. We see these places over here that oftentimes when Hashem is telling Abram or anybody else about the land of Israel, that it's never mentioned. It just tells you the land that I'm going to show you, the land that I'm going to take you to, that land. Just tell me it's Eretz Yisrael. Why don't you just tell me it's a particular land? Can I guess which one it is? But yet it's specifically said in this way where it's El Haaretz Asher Areka, to this place that I'm going to show you. Which one is it? Can I get a map? No, I'm going to show it to you. So the simple reading, I guess, commentaries, the way they explain it, is that, the more you develop this love for something, someone tells you, I'm taking a trip, where are we going? I'm not going to tell you, I'm taking it, where is it going to be? Is it going to be in this continent? Maybe, so they get an excitement they're excited for the trip that they're going on, and it makes it all the more worthwhile. That's the basic understanding that we say that when Hashem says, El Haaretz Asher Areka, to this land, so he doesn't want to tell you exactly, because you're going to have a greater love for it, you can have a greater appreciation, because it's going to come as a surprise when you actually notice it. That seems to be the general understanding as to what that's about. So I just share with you that idea. It wasn't on this pasuk. So again, this is Rashi's understanding. Lo gila haaretz mi. I didn't want to tell him which one it was. Kidei lechaba be'einav. Okay, so meaning there's two aspects. One, that Abram should have this love for it, greater love for it. The second thing is that each time he speaks about it and he mentions it, each word itself has greater schar for each word that's spoken in mentioning this place. Without going to the second half of that Rashi, but in the first half, that's the idea of that it should be chaviv onto Abram. So in the Sefer, the Rav, Speaking Aloud, I think it's called, so he explains the idea of what happened in the Chet of Adam Harishon. So last week, 2 weeks ago, in Parshas Bereshis, we see that the land is cursed because of Adam. The land is cursed because of Adam. What you've done, now the land is going to be cursed, and it's not going to develop fruit and the like the same way you had it before. It's an obvious question he asks is it the land's fault? Why is the land actually cursed? Does the land actually have free will that it could actually become cursed? So I understand that maybe that you did this, so therefore you're going to have less benefit from the land. But the fact that Arura Hadama Bavurech, that the land is going to be cursed because of you, seems to hint that the land itself has some element of free will. And we ask the question: since when did land actually have any free will? So there's one Rashi that tells us about it, about the tree that was supposed to produce the fruit and the like. Again, but where's the free will of land? Where is it? And how come you don't see it today? How come we don't see today the free will that you may have on land? So he presents the following. Prior to the sin of Adam Harishon, prior to the sin of eating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, so there was an interconnection between land and humanity. That it didn't necessarily mean that the land actually had free will, but you as a human who has free will, you who make the wrong decisions or the right decisions, will see the benefit or the lack of benefit in the land that you're experiencing. Which means that when the human does something wrong, the ground or the land will have a direct effect on the human, almost as if it's a sidekick, right? The land, you do something, your sidekick is going to have some sort of benefit or a negative effect in the fact of that which you've done. That was prior to the sin, which meant that the human being had an interconnection, some sort of deep connection to the land itself, and then came the sin, Arura Adama. When that happened and the ground became cursed, what ended up happening from that was all subsequent lands would no longer have a connection to mankind. You could be the worst guy in the world and plant the greatest fruit. You can be the greatest tzaddik and have no land or no fruit that's going to come to you. Once that sin happened with Adam Harishon, there became a disconnect from humanity to that of their interconnection they actually had with land. Except the land of Eretz Yisrael. the land of Eretz Yisrael will always retain that level of Kedusha, will always retain that opportunity that the human being has a deep connection with the land itself. And this is why that the Torah tells us so many times about the land of Israel that it's based on who lives there, and that if you don't do what you're supposed to be doing, the land of Israel is going to spit you out. What does the land have to do with spitting me out? The answer is the land of Israel is spiritual. It retains its spiritual status from the time of Adam Harishon. That was the original spiritual connection between man and the land itself. So therefore the land of Israel retained it, and humanity still has that deep connection, particularly given over to the Jewish people. That now the Jewish people have this deep connection with the land itself. You do the proper thing, the land will show its fruit. You don't do the right thing, the land will spit you out. What does the land have to do with it? The land has some element of connection, of spiritual connection to the human being, specifically the Jewish people. So here, when we say like this, El ha'aretz asher areka. So at this point, when this is a suggestion, at this point, when Hashem is telling this to Abram, when you're living during times of Abram's age or our age and where we live, you don't see any connection to land itself. It just happens to be another land. And for me to describe to you, Abraham, what this land is going to be like, that this land has a spiritual connection to you, the human being, I can't really explain this to you. There's nothing that is explainable. It happened many, many years ago when Adam Harishon was alive, but it ceased to happen, except in the land of Israel. So when I tell you, El Haaretz Asher Areka, this land that I'm going to show you, this land that I'm going to show you, you've never experienced anything like it. That your mitzvos, that your spirituality, the things that you do are going to be deeply intertwined with this. I can only tell you there's going to be an experience that you have that when you see it and it's going to come to you, you're going to be like, wow, I never thought that it can actually be this way. And this perhaps is the suggestion I'm giving, that El Haaretz Asher Areka throughout Tanakh, as you see it in the 5 books of Moshe, that it's never directly spoken to. Sometimes it is, a lot of times, often it's spoken in this general term of a place that you're going to see. Why? Specifically because of the fact that it's not fathomable till you actually experience it. And this, I think, perhaps is what Hashem is suggesting to Avram here. And that's what he's saying in the name of Soloveitchik, or David Holzer himself is saying this idea that the land of Israel is unique. It's what all lands used to be like, but the land of Israel is the only land today that has that spiritual connection. There's actual spiritual connection to the human being, to the land itself. And this is what Hashem is telling Abraham, that there's going to be a land that you're not going to understand, but when you get there, it's going to make a lot of sense to you, because that's where you're going to find the spiritual connection to land itself. Rabbi Nachi Klein